I have made claims on this channel about performance mods that I've installed on my Trail Boss. Well, now we have actual data. I found a tuning shop that allowed me to rent dyno time, which then allowed me to test each performance mod individually. I was able to keep the truck on the dyno to swap out each part before the next pull. This was a great company, and you could really tell that they enjoy doing what they do. They were able to show me peak power and torque gains where the engine is at peak efficiency, but also horsepower and torque gains at lower RPMs, which will show different. I started out with a factory intake pull to get the initial readings, but just know that this is not a fully stocked truck. I have a custom Borla Atak system with an X-pipe. I installed a brand new Fram filter, and I was running premium gas in the tank. Once I installed each component, I did climb in the truck, crank it up just to let it idle for a few minutes. The way I tested the performance parts was in the way I initially installed them. So first up is the cold air Inductions cold air intake. Here's the chart showing my max power to the wheel of 299.56 and max torque of 315.91, which is a gain of 5.33 horsepower and a gain of 11.56 torque. The tech that was doing the pulls looked at this on a different place on the chart, and here's what he had to say.
And what happened right here on that first pull was it unlocked the converter. Gotcha. And then locked back up. This one right here, it's got enough air coming in where it doesn't feel like it needs to unlock. So right there, but look at how much further it carried out. 299 peak. So we picked up 15 horsepower when I trimmed that off. We picked up 15 horsepower and we picked up 15 foot-pounds on the graph. It looks amazing. It looks like a different truck.
Now onto the Jet Performance mass airflow sensor. I was very eager to try this one out because I thought it allowed me to get the full potential out of my cold air intake, as I stated in another video. I was surprised by the peak results initially with a graph showing the max power at 301.37 and max torque of 316.08, which is a gain of 1.81 horsepower and a gain of 0.17 torque. But later on, I'll show you a lower RPM reading that explains why I felt this was a more noticeable gain. The mass airflow sensor was also one of the only mods that the tech showed me that actually leaned out the truck, which could potentially lead to more MPGs.
The yellow line is with the new mass airflow sensor. It's going to be a little hard to see, but it is leaned out a half a point, which is 11 right here at wide open. 10.5 is way too rich. That's still a little bit on the rich side, but what's going to happen here is you're going to pick up some fuel mileage, and a few extra horsepower.
The Jet Performance Throttle Body was the next mod I tested, and it gave me a max power of 305.49 and a max torque of 315.80, which is a gain of 4.12 horsepower and a loss of 0.28 torque. Here's what the tech had to say about the throttle body.
So the red line right here was with the factory throttle body. You can see it up top. Down low, I mean, it seems it's going to make what it's going to make down low. Yep. Definitely let it breathe a little bit up top. For it being the same throttle body size, the physical same size, that's pretty impressive, 5 horsepower.
The last dyno pull was with the Jet Performance power module installed, which I really didn't feel any difference, so I was really eager to get that one on the dyno and test it. I was telling the tech, I almost feel that after doing so many performance upgrades, maybe everything was starting to blend together, making it harder to notice a difference in gains. The graph reading showed max power at 309.34 and max torque at 321.22, which is a gain of 3.85 horsepower and 5.42 torque. The last dyno pull gives us the overall numbers, which is a peak power gain of 15.11 and a peak torque gain of 16.87. Those numbers are when your engine is running at peak efficiency, but it doesn't necessarily mean you aren't getting better results in the lower RPM ranges for like throttle response and takeoffs. So let's look at the charts I put together where I got readings in the lower RPM range. The tech clicked on the 3417 RPM range, and some of the gains were much better improvements. Looking at the cold air intake, it showed a horsepower gain of 10.54 and a torque gain of 16.72, which this mod seemed to do the best overall. The Jet Performance mass airflow sensor showed a horsepower gain of 6.47 and torque gain of 9.93, which seems to do much better in the lower RPM range. This explains to me why I felt like this made a noticeable difference, because most of the time you're driving around in the lower RPMs. I don't really know too many people that are always driving in the 5,000 RPM range, and if you are, there may be something terribly wrong, so I would consider going to see a doctor about that. The throttle body saw a horsepower loss of 0.13 and a torque loss of 0.35, which tells me that there really wasn't any gain at that exact RPM range. Now that doesn't mean you're getting a better response earlier on, but as far as the numbers from the chart, the throttle body seems to do much better in the higher RPM range. Now the Jet Performance module was the most consistent. At the lower RPMs, it gave a horsepower gain of 3.23 and a torque gain of 5.05, which was pretty close to the same numbers in the higher RPM range. The overall total gain at the 3,417 mark was 20 horsepower and 31.35 pounds of torque. So what have I learned from this experience? Just because your max numbers show certain gains doesn't mean you aren't going to feel the gains during your normal drive and takeoff. But at least the dyno pulls showed gains for each performance mod and helped me to know that the feeling that I got from installing these products wasn't just in my head. One big thing to know is it's hard to compare this dyno data to the dyno readings that companies give you for their up to gains, because all dynos, conditions, and applications could be totally different. Now, I do believe a custom tune would help you get the maximum potential out of these mods. Also, just putting some miles on the mods might help out, allowing that computer to relearn all the new values it's getting. You could see some gains there. But it was really nice to see the gains that I got from the back-to-back testing. Well, I hope this video helped you guys out. I really enjoyed doing this one. If you liked it, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Until next time, see y'all.